Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast with Kaitlyn Talamante, hosted by LadyBoss. This is a space where women rise, own their power, and stop playing small. We get real, we get raw, and we get fired up about confidence, health, business, and life. If you're ready to step into who God made you to be and unapologetically live your best life, then girl, you are in the right place. Let's do this.
This is what unapologetic looks like.
This is my era. I'm walking boldly in my purpose. I'm done dimming my light.
I'm done playing small. God didn't create me to blend in. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. The old me was surviving. The new me is free.
We rise together.
Here's to living life unapologetically. Hey, ladies, and welcome back to Unapologetic. Today's episode is about the kind of leadership that doesn't come from comfort. It comes from getting out of your comfort zone, and it is forged in fire. I'm joined by the incredible Bianca D'Alessio. She is the #1 real estate agent in New York City. She is star of Selling the Hamptons and the powerhouse behind a $10 billion, with a B, ladies, billion-dollar empire that she built after everything fell apart. She had partnerships fail, people pushing against her. I can't wait for her to dive into her story. The pressure was there. And instead of backing down, she came back like the powerhouse she is, unapologetically, and rebuilt even stronger. Bianca, I am so honored to have you on Unapologetic. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I am so excited to be here. And I love the title of this podcast because unapologetic is the way that I live my life. And I think it's such a powerful message to women where there's so much pressure in this world, like just living and embracing your true self and showing up to be the best version of you, whatever that means at whatever point in time, is such a liberating feeling. And so I cannot wait to be here with you today.
That liberating feeling is what I always try to tell the audience. Like, it's just like, I have no words for it besides blah. Like, it's just so liberating, so amazing. And I want that, especially through this podcast, for every woman. So Bianca, I had the honor of hearing a bit of your story about 2 months ago. And I was like, I have to have her on this podcast because really in your story and with everything you went through, the odds were stacked against you and wheels, I guess, turned in ways that I don't think you ever expected them to turn. And your story truly stopped me in my tracks because so many people know the success they see now. And it's so, every day, it's easy to see like the person standing in front of you, but not what it took to get there. Can you take us back to the season where everything was rocking and rolling and then just boom, it fell apart?
So I would say I've had a few moments of those defining moments in my career and in my personal life where, you know, one thing was going great and then the other one was crashing down. And it's like this inflection point of what is happening in the world and how do you make sense of it all? But, you know, I think those are the moments that define us so much. And so when I was starting out my career, I started in real estate in my young 20s. And that first year, like most people in sales, just trying to figure out where I fit in, it was very difficult. I totally underestimated the emotional roller coaster of getting into a sales position. But a few years in, I started to get my sea legs underneath me. My confidence started building and I started to find my niche in the industry. And then very quickly, overnight, my family was shattered. My father was convicted of a financial fraud. And my family lost everything. And it left me, not having any money, being scared for my life about what this meant for my family, the pressure of taking care of or trying to take care of everyone and being the glue to hold everyone together while also trying to show up in the world as the strong, unapologetic woman that I was while feeling totally shattered inside. And that was, I would say, my first really big inflection point in my life of needing to rebuild and redefine myself because I had been taught from such a young age that one, I came from a very close-knit Italian family, that one, family came first always, and two, that your reputation is everything. And I felt like I was just stripped of both of those things almost instantly. And it became this time to completely rebuild my identity. And I started to. but I felt like I had this black cloud that was following me because I didn't want to be revealed, or I didn't want anyone to find out because I was embarrassed. And it took me years and years to realize the power of what had happened to me and how that had shaped me and how I had learned from that. And I learned a lot of important lessons from that. But, a few of the biggest ones is, one, that you can lose everything overnight. Two, that if you don't have your family and your health, no amount of success or money in the world means anything. And three, that living with intention and values first and finding that peace from within is super, super important. So I started rebuilding. A few years later, I was working for someone at the time. Then a few years later, I started my first company. And this first company that I started was with 3 other male partners. And I was very excited in the beginning. It was the first time I ever had my own business. And 2, it was the first partnership I ever had. And at that point in time, I had come into this partnership as really, mentally being like coming off of this whole thing that had happened to me, still feeling like I was rebuilding, but not feeling like I was a true equal or that I was at their caliber. And that was totally a self-induced story that I had told myself.
Your syndrome.
Yep. And I realized very quickly into that partnership that I had entered a partnership with the wrong people because our values were not aligned. But nonetheless, I continue to forge forward. And in that year of working together, we built an incredible pipeline of business until, again, things quickly changed. I was cast to be on a TV show, and egos overcame and consumed the partnership. And it was my first real experience of how jealousy changes people's demeanor and behavior. And their work ethic and treatment of people. And we needed to end that partnership pretty quickly. And that was another really hard moment for me because I had never been out on my own before. I had never led a team on my own. And I had always defined myself as being an incredible number 2, a great right hand, but never being the figure point of any business. And it was at that point in time that I was like, okay, well, now I've been given this gift, as horrifying as it is. Now I've been given this gift to start over and to do it my way and to do it with values first and to take all of the things that I had learned from those 2 really traumatic experiences and pave the way that I wanted to. And that is when my current company, the Masters Division, was born. And it has been the most beautiful journey ever since. It's been 4 years now. A lot of learning moments and a lot of pain points, but moving with authenticity and values and trust and integrity and leading people with loyalty and camaraderie. And I think it's been an incredible testament to the team that I put together and how much fun it can be when you surround yourself with like-minded people.
It is truly the key, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. It's when you really feel in alignment with your values. So both of those, your dad with fraud and the business partners pushing you out, like those are 2, like, they're not like, okay, that was hard. That was hard. That's major. What was that push behind you that got you out of that comfort zone that made you decide to rebuild instead of just hiding? Like so many of us tend to unfortunately do sometimes.
I think I've always had this inherent like burning deep in me of like needing to prove something. But I don't know, I think it started when I was younger of needing to prove something to the outside world. I think even when I started my first business and after that partnership ended, like I needed to prove something to the world. Now the way that I operate is I've figured out how to reframe that. And so much of what I believe in is reframing and restructuring story to work for you, not against you. And now it's all about proving to myself how far I could push myself, how far I could go, how much I could grow. And what I've realized from all of these experiences and the many other experiences that I've had the privilege and the opportunity, the blessing to have, both all good and bad, in starting a business, is those moments of discomfort are what define us. And that really is what sets us apart from everyone else. And everyone has moments of discomfort and hardship in their life, but it's how you lean into them and how you learn from them and how you let that be what fuels you to push you further. And to me, like, I look at those experiences now and I say, gosh, I am so blessed that I experienced both of those things in my early 20s, where most people, one, never experience some of them, or if they do, it's later in life. Like, what a blessing it was for me to experience them so young in my career that I can exercise the muscle of being resilient over and over again and keep going and do it better next time, continuing to innovate with intention.
Bianca, your positivity that exudes out of you with everything you've been through, like, you are so happy because like you reframe your story to work for you. Like, I love that point of view. Yeah, you've been
Thank you.
hard stuff, but you're so bright and bubbly and you found the positive. And I truly like that decision to rise up is everything. Like you didn't wait for permission. Like you claimed your space and you rose up and you didn't never it doesn't sound like you ever really got stuck in like the woe was me space. You're like, no. What can I take away from that? Can I learn?
So I don't want to discount like the initial like hardship because I think we all go through a woe is me, but it's how long do you get stuck in that for? Like God, when my dad was convicted, I'm like, gosh, this shouldn't be in my life. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to my family? I can't believe this. So like that's so natural. And I don't want people to think like I just was born positive. My positivity is so much a choice because it's way easier to be negative. But being positive, like I know when I'm positive, I surround myself with positive people and it brings positive things into my life. There are so many things to be negative about all of the time, but when you bring that energy to the world, then negativity will come to you. Hands down. It's like science, it's magnetic. It exists in the universe no matter where you are. So like I am so intentional about being positive. Even when I wake up and I'm not having a good day in the morning or I had a terrible night's sleep or I have something I'm dreading coming up or it's a difficult season of life, like, because I still go through very difficult seasons of life. It's waking up and saying, like, okay, how am I showing up to be the best version of me today? What am I going to do to bring joy to someone else's life? What am I going to do to make myself happy today? Even if I could just focus on some small actions that hopefully will compound over the course of a day, it will help set me up a little bit better to deal with those difficult moments.
I love it. You get to choose, ladies. Like, I want to make sure you hear that. Like, it's not about odds being stacked against you or the woe is me. Like, things are hard, but you get to choose how you show up. You get to choose the person you want to be in each and every moment, no matter what difficulties you're going through, because we all go through that. And yes, when you're positive, when you exude that, when you turn the negative into that positive, like you really do attract it, right? Because there is a lot of negative that we can be negative about, and we get to make that choice.
Absolutely.
So, Bianca, you recently released a book. I've got it sitting right here, Mastering
Yes.
Intentions. And it's all about the principles in transforming and empowering individuals to rebuild, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your book and what does it mean to you to lead with intention in an industry that, I mean, you are in a brutal industry in New York City for sure.
So to me, intentionality is all about living life with alignment. How do you connect what your brain wants, what your heart wants, and how your body shows up every single day to be in alignment with one another? Because that is where you find the most success, the most joy, and the most peace and fulfillment in life. And so creating that alignment is synonymous with intention. This book for me did not start out as this book. It started out very much as a real estate sales book because that's what I know, right? How do you be a great salesperson? But as I was writing it, I started realizing while sales may be my number one job that I'm doing, the heart of what sales is connection and connecting with people, relating to people. And the best salespeople are the most authentic and who can lead and who can understand vulnerably. Because spending a lot of money on a home and changing your family's financial situation or chasing an aspiration to set up your family for what you want to be their goals and their dreams and their aspirations, that is a vulnerable experience. And so the heart of that is moving with intention. And as I was writing this, I started to think about how we are all the sum of all of the experiences that we've had in our life. Right? We all are. All of the highs and all of the lows. They've shaped us to become the exact person we are today. However, we have the ability at any point in time to rewrite our narrative and our past to make sure that it works for and serves us today and sets us up to create the pathway that we want for the future. Right? If we continue to be in the woe is me about what has happened to us in the past, we will continue to be in that cycle for the future. If we instead reframe, change the script of, wow, what incredible lessons or what incredible opportunities or what beauty there is in the world that I've learned from, that have shaped me, that have challenged me, and how great it will be in the future to pass that on to others, that again is a different mindset shift. So this book is all about reclaiming that control, reclaiming that power over our stories to create and set the direction for where we want to go in the future, and then working on the practice of sharing that story, rewriting the narrative, embracing and expressing gratitude, manifesting and the power of manifestation. And so the book's written in 10 different practices, each with practical advice and exercises to work the reader through those different challenges and those self-reflective processes.
I love it. I love every single one of them. If there was one that you would tell the ladies listening today to start with before they're going to go snag your book now, we're going to link it in the bio and whatnot. But before they get your book and they read through all 10, what is one that you say, like, start doing now to lead with intention, to live your best life?
To me, like the easiest one the one that I think most women struggle with the most, and the easiest one to start with is positive self-talk. Because I think a lot of women, I am so guilty of this, is we get into this cycle in our brain of thinking we're not deserving enough. We're not worthy of love. We don't deserve success. We can't make a certain amount of money. We're failing at our relationship. We can't have both a successful relationship and a great business. We have to compromise being a mother. We have to sacrifice. And we have society put all of these pressures on us. We have family put these pressures on us for how we're supposed to show up in the world. And that changes the narrative of how we feel about ourselves, where we feel like we're not enough. And the reality is that's not true. And the way that we show up in the world is purely determined on how we think and feel about ourselves. And so to practice positive self-talk, to rewrite the narrative in your brain of who you are as a person and how you show up will be one of the most transformative things.
Love it. We call it words of affirmation, saying words of affirmation here within LadyBoss and the Unapologetic podcast. And so I've got to ask, because that is your number one, I'm assuming, I would make a guesstimate that you probably have some positive intentions, thoughts that you keep written down in your surroundings. Do you not?
Oh, I do, of course. So I try to activate these different intentions every year and focus on 3 things that I really want to bring to the forefront of my life. Like if I focus on this intention and this quality, it will change everything else. And so right now, my big word is being relentless. Being relentless in what I want, in the way I show up, in the asks that I make, in the people I surround myself with, in the rooms that I want to get into. Acting relentlessly is crucial. I think another one where I've slipped a little bit, I used to be far more disciplined, but I've pulled back on a few different disciplines in my life. So reinserting discipline into my life has been another really big important one. And so I think creating and activating these intentions where that becomes like the North Star of where you're trying to go. And if you make decisions with that intention in mind, all of the other things will start to follow and, get into line.
But I do the same thing. In fact, my ring right here says unstoppable. This is
Yes.
last year was my main focus was unstoppable, which led me into LadyBoss and this new avenue that I'm in. This year, my word is purpose. I've got a necklace somewhere, and I keep it around. It is living in the purpose that God has for me and living my best life and being purposeful with my time here to do his work, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Things aren't always easy. They're hard, right? And so when they're hard, like just knowing that the plan is so much bigger than I, and so I'm going to keep leaning into that purpose. So I love that you share
that.
words like,
yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I think it becomes so much easier. I used to be someone who was so rigid with the way that I would set goals, almost to a fault. I call them like my metric specific toxic goals that I would set for myself, where I'd get into this rut of constantly chasing a number I'd write on a piece of paper or something I was aspiring to. And that took out so much of the feeling and the emotion and made it so mechanical and almost created these blinders where I wouldn't see other opportunity because I was just chasing the one goal I had written down on a piece of paper. But when you're going after purpose, when you're going after abundance, like it's a mindset, it's a reframing, it's something so much bigger than yourself, where other things just start to happen naturally because you're becoming magnetic to opportunity.
yes, just like in the TV show you were casted for, I'm sure, right? Like if you said no to that opportunity, like that was something you wanted and aspired to. But if you let that fear stop you rather than living in that intentionality and the opportunity, it could have, it would have shifted things a little bit, right? It wouldn't have pushed
Totally.
you wouldn't be able to look back and be like, that show is awesome. It's been such a great experience. And you're not having to wonder, like, what if you didn't take that?
Totally. Listen, and when I was cast to be on the show, I was terrified. Like I was so scared to say yes because at that point in time, I was not the person you see today. I was very scared to be vulnerable because I was afraid of being like revealed, you know? Like, gosh, what if people think less of me because of my story? And the fear of regret was far bigger than the fear of the failure that could come or what people would think of me when it came out. And so that's what made me do it. It was truly like, will I regret what could have happened because I didn't say yes versus the outfall of if I say yes and do this.
I love that. One of my favorite quotes, and I keep it posted everywhere, is great things never come from comfort zones, because it's so easy to stay in that comfort zone, but so much better when you get out of it, right?
Totally. And listen, and it's uncomfortable getting out of your comfort zone. Like, let's not discount that period of time of like, gosh, this incredible transformation and challenging yourself and your brain talking to you and saying like you're not ready for this and you can't do it. Like, that's a natural part of it. That's why the practice of self-talk is so important. Like, to be your own hype woman, to say like you could do this, keep going. Like, the greatest growth happens after the biggest discomfort.
Yes, it really does. And then you're able to look back and you're like, yeah, I did that. Like,
Yes.
I journal, and I love looking back at my journal 1, 2, 3, 5 years ago. And I'm like, who was this little girl? Like, can I just go hug her? Because like,
I
look at what
know.
she's doing today. That girl would have never done that. And it's just amazing to be able to look back and be like, no, you can do that. Keep showing up.
And I think that's so important for us all to do, is to look back and to give ourselves the credit we deserve as we grow, because life happens so, so fast. And it is so easy to discount those moments of growth and what we're experiencing every single day. But to like give yourself proper time to like sit and be quiet and be still of like, who was I a year ago today? Like, what decision was I making? What was I scared of? Like, what did I want to do, but I didn't have the courage or the confidence to do? And how am I different today? Um, that's so powerful to like give your, so much can change in a year. So much can change.
And it's going back to even your point of saying like everything that you experience from the time you're a child to now is it shapes who you are. You have to be able to acknowledge the different persons you were throughout your life and give credit where credit is due and celebrate. And I love to look back at I do the 3-3-3. I try to do it like at least every other month. It should be better, but where I look back 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and 3 years. And I'll just jot it down real quick. And it's always just like it's that quick reminder of like, okay, we are making that forward growth. Like the amount of growth you can have in just 3 days and 3 weeks. And that's what I love about the exercise. Is like it doesn't have to be 3 years.
Yep. Listen, I look back on who I was 3 years ago. I don't even recognize myself. And it's crazy because like I filmed the TV show more than 3 years ago. So to look back on it, there's almost a point of me that's like cringe. Like I was talking to someone earlier and they're like, what would you do different if you were on it now? I was like, well, now I have way more confidence. I'm a way different person. Like, the whole experience would be totally different. But that's the beauty, that life happens exactly when it happens. And you can't rewrite that. All you could do is recognize how much growth and how those experiences transform you in the process, because that happened at the exact point in time when it needed to. And if it had happened today, the outcome would be totally different, but it didn't. And how cool and exciting that is.
It is so exciting. So in your industry, I would make the assumption that's very male dominated. It's a very male dominated space. Is that correct?
It is very male dominated.
So I'm assuming you were pretty underestimated early on.
Mhm.
What was your response to that,
Yes.
internally and externally?
So I think it was hard for me to step into that power in the beginning because I didn't realize how much power I actually had. But now that I have it, I realize what a responsibility it is. That I get to have such a voice and such an opinion. And I always did. I just didn't exercise it. But now I never take that lightly. And so, whatever room and whatever meeting I'm in and whatever call I'm on, like utilizing my voice and my power in the best way that I can, to be prepared, to be educated, to show up promptly, to listen more than I speak. All of that has come over time in a lot of these meetings, that you don't need to be, just because you're in a room or and you're in a meeting, or just because I'm the only woman in most rooms, it doesn't mean I need to outspeak everyone, but I could come in and have a very powerful, strong, dominating force because of the way I listen and I respond. And such a big component of that is articulation. And articulation is an incredible skill that compounds over time. And you only become better at articulating your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions by practicing, by vocalizing, by speaking, by role playing. And so that's something that I constantly do. It's an art that I continue to work on and hone and refine. Um, and I encourage other people to too, because articulation is the root of connection.
I love that. I've never thought of it that way. I always thought like I want to be able to speak better and more precise and get my words across clear. And I'm like, that's what it is, working on the articulation of it, utilizing emotions and the words you have and making it just so put together is what I always say. I want to come off put together.
Yeah. And also being really comfortable in silence, throwing a question back at someone and sitting in silence and letting them answer from themselves often tells much, much more than me giving the answer to someone. And I use that strategy all the time with my clients, with my teammates, with my colleagues of, throwing it back in their plate and letting them articulate for themselves and then coming up with, okay, based on what you're saying, this is the plan. That's an incredible tactic to use.
I even use that with my husband.
Yes.
The first time I call it putting the ball back in his court. And so the first time I ever used it on my husband, that's when I realized the power in it. This is probably about 5 years ago, maybe longer now. And I put the ball back in his court and he just stopped and it got awkward and it got silent. And he finally looked at me and he's like, well, I don't know. No one's ever asked me that before. And I was like, what? Okay, cool. Now we're like getting somewhere in this conversation. But it's wild by putting the ball back in their court, and whether it's feeling empowering them or challenging them to think a different way or not be a loop opener, but be a loop closer, especially in the entrepreneurial world, right?
Totally. Yep. A lot of people just power through that silence and like fill silence with more talking, but then you cover up what is actually happening in the conversation, what you need to focus on. So 100%, I totally agree.
Moment of silence, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like that awkward eye stare. I practice the awkward eye stare. Like, let's just lock eyes and stare because I'm going to give you all my attention while we're in a conversation. And I'm sure it makes it awkward, but it's like, no, like I'm giving you my attention. So let's go.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
How would you say that you lead your team with both authority and authenticity?
So I would say, first, I want to share how I've failed at this to get to where I am today. So when I started my company that I have now 4 years ago, it was a very difficult time for me personally because one, that business partnership I told you just failed. 2, I had ended my long-term relationship and I was throwing everything like into this new business. And I thought that the way that I needed this business to be successful is 1, I needed to be perfect all the time. And 2, I needed to outwork absolutely everyone. And 3, I couldn't have a life. And so that's how I operated. I worked around the clock all of the time, had no personal relationships, had no fun, had no extracurriculars, had no playtime. And everything was perfect all of the time. And what that did is, 1, that concept of perfectionism did not allow anyone to come to me with confusion or questions or innovation or creativity or curiosity because they were afraid to make a mistake or they were afraid to come to me and be vulnerable or voice an opinion that was different or out of the box. 2, it didn't give them anything to aspire to because the reality is most people don't aspire to only have a career and nothing else. They want well-balanced lives with friends and family and fun. And, 3, it just made me not a great person to work for because like I had nothing else and like I was stressed all of the time. And so I realized in that I needed to make a change. First of all, the perfectionism was not serving me and it was definitely not serving them. So we like scrapped that entirely of instead of being perfect all the time, leaning into the mistakes that we're making and then talking about them in real time. And it started with me of like, okay, I could have done this differently. This is what happened. This is how I could have done it differently. This is what I'm learning and this is what I will change next time. And leaning forward with that in all of the different things we were doing from meetings to pitches to marketing ideas to business strategy, leading with that, it started to trickle into everyone else of doing the same thing of, okay, I don't like that I did this. I want to try something different. And we became far more creative and innovative together. It also allowed me to stop micromanaging. So people wanted to take more chances and more risks. And then eventually I started realizing, okay, I've done that. I've stopped the perfectionism nonsense. That doesn't work. Like, what about life? Like, who is Bianca as a person? Because right now all she is a work robot that I don't even know if my employees like. So how do I start to have fun again? And by having fun, like I just started being more lighthearted. I started laughing more, made more time for relationships. I made more time for the things that actually inspired innovation and creativity. And so I would say where we are today is very much embracing that, you cannot leave your life at home and not bring it to the office with you. And the same for the office and when you go home. Like this concept of balance, which I say all the time, that I absolutely do not believe in, because I believe balance is finding a way to put everything into buckets and seeing how they weigh out and finding some kind of synergy for how they sit level together. The reality is we are living life all of the time, and relationships at home and relationships in the office and aspirations at home and aspirations in the office, they all need to be in alignment with each other. So how do we make sure that we're creating a space for our people to bring that all into one and giving them the tools and the lessons of, wow, I learned conflict management today at work. How can I use that and take that home for my kids? How can I use that with my partner? And that's just so much more rewarding than just thinking about what we're doing in the real estate space in these four walls that we work in. We're living life with our people and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
I've always said like the work-life balance, like that's not a thing. It's about finding the right flow and the right alignment.
Yes.
So true. And even the instance with where I put the ball back in my husband's court, that was something I learned at work. And I was like, okay, we're learning this about management and employees. Like, let's just see what happens at home. And I can't tell you how much professional development I have integrated into my personal life and vice versa. And the communication skills you're able to gain out of it. And I feel like we're going to dive into relationships a little bit. Relationships, whether professional or personal, struggle because one common thread, communication. If we can't communicate thoughts out and express, and as we're building our skill set, whether personally or professionally, like they lap, like use that so that we can find that flow, that alignment with being able to live a life you truly love to wake up for every day.
Totally. I love that so much for you. That's amazing.
Thank you. So the heart of unapologetic is all about how like we don't shrink, to fit in spaces. We outgrow this space. We want to show up. And so I would love to talk a little bit more about your business, if that's okay. Because you're not just an agent, like you built a brand. I watch you on social and all the things you're doing. I know you just did a news segment. You've got your book. I think you might have a book tour coming up soon. Correct me if I'm wrong. So much.
Yep.
Tell us about the master division and what makes that team culture so different. How can you thrive in it with all the things you have going on? I know that's a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's to me, first of all, I've never been someone who likes working alone. I love working with people and I get my energy from other people. And I think that motivates me, that excites me, and I want to work with people who get that same motivation and excitement. Now, what I've realized in the real estate space, because I've worked for many, many people at many, many companies, had different partnerships. Some were better than others. Some were amazing where I learned great things from, and some were terrible where I also learned great things from. But the biggest thing that I realized in the space that I'm in is, one, how highly competitive real estate is, how large the burnout rate is, and that most people look at sales as being a solo journey and being very, very competitive and secretive, right? Like I have my book of business. I have my secrets I'm not going to share. I don't believe in that at all. Like I take my calls on speakerphone. I share everything with my team. I want them to learn from my mistakes. I want them to learn from all of the case studies and book that I've had. And I want it to be collaborative, because I feel very much, and I believe very much in the power of that we elevate each other, that our collective success is also our individual success and vice versa. And so this concept of collaboration is, one, very, very different in the industry and sales as a whole. And then two, another thing that I had realized is that a lot of real estate teams in the space, they're built on one figurehead of the business, and the whole business is built around one person and their brand. And with that, there becomes a component of timing, because most agents work their way up the ladder and then they realize that they're working for someone else and they're only building their brand. And what does it mean for their brand? And then they want to leave or they want to start their own team, whatever it is. And so I look at my business not as just a team, but a company in which creates long-term success and longevity for anyone, for no matter where they are in their career, to build the brand and the vision that they want. So if someone wants to start their own division, their own team, their own department within my structure, they have the resources in order to be able to do that. And it's all been established for them. So it's thinking much more with a long-term mindset than what is Bianca doing today. It's how are we building this together for long-term success as a group.
I love that, because you're so right. So many times so many times in groups, whether it's entrepreneurship or real estate or even your girlfriend group, right? It's like everyone's out for themselves. And you mentioned earlier about jealousy came out once you started to have that success, but to really cultivate a space where you want to see them succeed. You want them to strive for more. You encourage it, even if that means that they one day might depart and start their own branch, right? Because I don't know about you, but for me, like that defines success. Like I want the best for all of those. Like I want you to outgrow me.
Yep, totally. For
Like,
sure.
if you outgrow
Like,
me,
let's just
my job.
100%. And let's build it together. And let's always, and I can't stress this enough, and I just say this to my clients too, you leave on the right terms and you treat people the way you want to be treated. You know, I have so many clients where I said, maybe now is not the right time for us to be working together. And then they come back because the way that we exit the relationship. And I have won more business and regained more business by the way that I exit relationships than the way that I actually go after and try to chase business, because people realize how different it is from other people in the industry. To be able to exit and say no with grace is an incredible skill set.
It really is. I love doing I hear you and I understand you, but maybe my business isn't for you. And it always catches me off guard because normally, especially in the sales industry, it's you got to have this, got to buy. But I might not be your person. And if you're not my person and I'm not your person, then I'm not going to be in alignment and you're not going to be in alignment. And I want you to find that best fit for you. Maybe in the future,
Totally.
come together and we'll be great. With LadyBoss specifically, there was like the 7 stages of grief when Kaitlyn, the first owner, sold the business. And I was through it all. Like I went through it. I completely understand where these ladies are at. And there's still so many that are like, I'm never coming back. And that's okay. Like I can still love on you and send you all my gratitude for the LadyBoss and the experience you had. And I can only hope that one day I become your person or LadyBoss becomes your vehicle again. But if not, that's okay. And I think for so many people, that's like when I send those little DMs to them that I'm like, hey, it's okay. You can make your choices. Like, but I'm here if you die. It's like, wow, this is different because it's not that you need to buy all my stuff, right? Not that
Totally. I love that.
It's just, it's powerful because not every person is your person, right? And it's hard.
Not every person's your person and you're not for everyone. And that's okay.
That is so okay.
You know, I used to take that, like a little personally, kind of hard of like, or I brought someone on my team and I wasn't able to help them, reach the threshold that they wanted, or it just didn't work out, or, went after this business and I thought I was perfect for it and it didn't work out. You know what? You're not for everyone. That is okay. The people that you are for and who get it are really your people. That is the type of synergy you need. That is what you need to chase. Don't chase someone who does not have alignment with your values, the way you stand, or your business model. They're not your people. Chase only who is in alignment with you.
Big fan sayer of like, I love my spouse is amazing. My husband's great. My kids are great. But at the end of the day, they're not my biggest hype person when it comes to the goal and the mission I'm on. Is there alignment? Do they understand it? Yes. But they're not my biggest hype because their goals look different. And so I've also found it so important to surround yourself with those people that know the path you're on. If you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, finding yourself a group of entrepreneurs that have been where you're at, are where you're at, want to support you and see you succeed and share their knowledge and vice versa. Where if your spouse is like, well, I don't want to be a business owner, but you go for it, honey. They're not your biggest.
Yep.
They love you. They could still be there for you, but also having that group that's there to just continue to drive you forward. It's not always your friends or your spouse or this or that, but only for the fact of could be jealousy. It could be, let's be real, but they're not on that same mission. They don't get why your goals are your goals, but the people that do,
and that's okay. The people that do will get it. Find your tribe.
What is one practice with like once you find your tribe, you've got your goal, like what is one practice that like is a non-negotiable you do every day to keep you on track for your vision, for your alignment?
So I would say positive self-talk is how I start every single day, but my practice of gratitude is also really, really important. Did I lose you there for a second? Okay, we're back. Okay, awesome. So gratitude is very, very important. And I try to exercise that every single day and looking back on my day and actually dissecting like the learning and teachable moments throughout the day, recognizing the missteps and the mistakes that I made along the way, some moments of failure throughout the day, and then giving them gratitude for what I have learned from them and how I will use that to shape me to become better. And I try to do that every single night as I decompress on my day of, running through the calendar of like which conversation went well, which one didn't, what would I change? But I would say that really helps keep me aligned because that helps with like the compounding learning, because I find that if I don't do that on a daily basis, things move so fast, and I could move past those, like something that could feel so small and so insignificant could just be brushed aside, but it actually could be a really big teaching moment for me. So incorporating that as a daily action just keeps me moving in the right direction and helps keep my mindset right.
That's beautiful. It's really like helps you keeps your mindset right, focus on the gratitude aspect of it. And then you're constantly, like you said, you're constantly learning. You're learning to articulate and how to handle the situations and find the positivity. And when you look back every single day like that, like you are truly able to focus and nitpick the gratitude out of every little thing.
Totally, for sure.
So how do you do that? If you don't mind me asking, do you journal? Do you just do mental takes? Like, what does it look like?
So I think it looks different at different stages. Right now, I do more so mental takes. I used to be a very active journaler. And when I was going through like this hyper growth period of my business, it would actually be like rewriting and practicing and rescripting things to actually like, this was what went wrong. Like, this was the moment where I made a misstep. This is where I said something correctly. Okay, now let's literally, I talk to myself a lot in the mirror. Let's role play it the right way. And like, let's make notes. I realized when I was doing that, I started keeping like an incessant amount of like notepads. And so I don't think I had the true proper to work for the quantity I was doing it. But like a lot of times I'll just take notes on my phone, like when something happens. With my significant other right now, we have a running shared note of things that happened throughout the day to both of us for why we are grateful for the other person. So we practice that a lot in our relationship. We're long distance. So that helps with like when we can't talk all the time, like I think of something or, something of how we're expressing gratitude towards each other. And so I think there's a lot of different ways that you could do it. I think the most important thing with any system is finding what works for you.
Yeah, it's finding what works for you is key. I love that the stage that you went through where you wrote down the conversation, you pinpointed what went wrong and you re-scripted it. Like, because I bet that was so powerful. It's always powerful to look back what you're doing in general, but to get that detail during that time, that growth phase, oh my goodness, I can only imagine how quickly you were able to have that growth because you called yourself out. I mean,
and a lot of the times, like I will tell like my team, first of all, like we have our Zoom calls now, they're recorded. They take the notes for us. Like there's so much things that technology does. Like look back on that, read back, listen back, but then use your voice app and re-speak to yourself the way you would have answered that differently. Do something that I have done. Put yourself in my shoes. You were on the call with me. How would you have responded? Practice getting in that mindset, practice that articulation, because that will make you more prepared for when you are there in the future.
Oh, I love that. That is so powerful. One I've just recently started doing, and I'm sure it sounds like you might as well, is AI, where you can talk to the AI guy. Now, for the record, I'm not saying like
Yes.
anything for you, but I mean, I call them like walk-in talks. Like you turn on the AI recorder and you just start talking, even if you have no words to say, and it starts flowing, and you're like, okay, well, this is how today went, and it went great. And I had this genius idea that I actually forgot about 4 hours ago, and if I wouldn't have been talking right now, I never would have remembered it.
Yes, I love that.
Like,
I love that.
just finding what works during that time.
Yep.
Well, Bianca, I can't tell you how many times I have had goosebumps during this conversation. I'm like, yes, you are such my person. Like, can't wait till the next time I get to see you in person and give you a big old hug. And I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was awesome. And I can't wait to see you again, too. You have such an electric, magnetic energy that just radiates across the screen, across the US right now where we are. And I just am so excited to be here. And I can't wait till the next time we're together again.
Can't either. Thank you as well. Before we leave, would you mind sharing with every woman who is listening one unapologetic truth? How are you living life unapologetically today?
So wholeheartedly embraced my story and my vulnerability and have stepped into the power of realizing how strong of a connection vulnerability leads to. And I just encourage everyone else, whatever your truth is, whatever your story is, find a way to write it that works for you. Practice sharing it, start sharing it, and realize that we all have a story to tell. There's no one's story that is greater or more impactful or more superior than yours. We are all uniquely, individually us, and there's so much beauty in that. And you will connect to people on so much of a deeper level than you've ever known once you realize how to own that and share that and connect through it.
I love that. And ladies, for you listening, if that was like your moment of like, okay, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to pull out the pen and paper or the AI and start forming my story and sharing it, know that you always have a space here on the Unapologetic podcast. We are here to share your stories of how you're living life unapologetically, and it's owning the good times and the bad and what shaped you to be the person you are today. So feel free to always reach out. Bianca, thank you so much for your transparency and for reminding us that what can break us down is really what we can use to build our legacy and build lives that we live unapologetically and as our best selves. If you're listening right now and you're in a season of pressure, I want you to remember this. Sometimes your greatest platform comes during your deepest pushback, those hardest times. Make sure you go follow Bianca. I'm going to put all her links in the show notes. Go snag her book, Mastering Intentions. I'm going to link it as well. Go grab it and connect with Bianca and take that first step to rise up intentionally, boldly, and unapologetically. Until next time, ladies. Bye.
I'm showing up as the woman I was created to be.
I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be real.
One woman's courage gives another permission. I'm done waiting for someday. My time is now. I'm walking in faith, not fear.
God's plan for me is bigger than my fear.
No more hiding who I am. This is the real me, and I'm not apologizing for her.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unapologetic Podcast. If today's episode fired you up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one. And hey, leave a quick review, or sharing this with a friend helps us reach more women who need this message. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living unapologetically.